So, Sweet on Pete, I told you guys yesterday, has a small entrapment. I never really had many entrapments and horse in my life, but this year we had Perfect Record. We had Luck of the Dragon. Now we have Sweet on Pete. Now, Perfect Record was, I understood, what was going on. When Perfect Record was training terrible, he was weak. He seemed like he had a compromised airway, so the entrapment made sense. Luck of the Dragon was training down so good for us. He was our original spot for the next generation, and then just started training poorly. Again, made sense. But Sweet on Pete trained like a monster the other day. We had scoped her just to make sure everything was going okay with this filly. Just wanted to make sure she was good to go. So we were anticipating entering her in to go, and I had our vet down here, Dr. Latessa, scope her, and he found an entrapment, which I thought was so shocking. I couldn't quantify what I saw with Sweet on Pete with what I saw with the other two horses. So I wanted to ask you, what is an entrapment? Because our clients don't know what an entrapment is. How do you treat it? What's the long-term effect? Really, what is it?
Right, so entrapped epiglottis was when we're looking at the upper airway, where we normally have our soft palate that sits like a floor, and the epiglottis sits on top of it. The epiglottis is a free-moving structure that helps the horses breathe. So an entrapped epiglottis, there is a membrane underneath the epiglottis that covers the epiglottis almost like a sock. So it just kind of keeps it stuck there. Sometimes it's an incidental finding. Some horses, like you said, you don't know they have it until we scope it. Some horses, it can cause breathing issues. They can choke when they eat. They can cough a lot. It's almost like they're struggling to free up their airway more. Some horses, it doesn't bother them when they go, but when it's there, it can cause an issue. Sometimes it's like I said, incidental finding. Sometimes it is a cause of a poor performance with breathing. So what we do when we see it, we actually take almost like a hook, it is a hook, and we'll grab that membrane to slice it open to free the epiglottis. So that's the procedure that we're doing. So we're just reaching in there with a hook, grab that membrane covering the epiglottis, slicing it so it just opens it back up where it's back to a normal structure.
Now when you make that slice, does it heal back over?
So when we make the slice, we're just slicing the membrane itself. We're not touching the palate. We're not touching the epiglottis itself.
I didn't know that.
So it's just that membrane, just a flat piece of tissue that just flips up over there. So we're cutting that. Sometimes what can happen is they can get entrapped again because they could find another piece of that membrane and get the epiglottis under there. If that happens, we may have to do the procedure again. So,
I didn't know
it
that
can come back, but typically once we're able to get a clean cut, it keeps it free, and we're usually able to.
So what happens? Does this always lead to airway issues or breathing issues with horses?
Good question. I'd say a fair amount of them do lead to breathing issues, because what can happen if it stays stuck, because sometimes it will be intermittent where it's stuck. I can scope it next week and it's not stuck.
I didn't know that either.
So it can slide back on its own from underneath that membrane, but when it gets stuck, you'll get an ulceration on that membrane. You get a lot of irritation, inflammation in the epiglottis and the upper airway. So that will definitely lead to a poor performance or a breathing issue that you'll see.
Yeah, so my take on it was, so Perfect Record, Luck of the Dragon were abysmal when they had that entrapment. Whereas Sweet on Pete, Dave, honey, we're doing video, sweetie. Sweet on Pete seemed fine.
Right.
Sweet on Pete trained awesome,
right.
Full power.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious how that would happen. Ava, honey. Ava. Out. Out. Right now. Thank you.
So, good question. So, a horse that you said it's an incidental finding, we may not notice any breathing issue on the horses in 2 minutes. Yeah. When we're going 55, 56 faster, it may cause
something's up.
Almost like a flip palate where they're cutting off their airway because that's trapped. They can't get the full 100% patency of that upper airway. So at higher speeds, we may see an issue.
So my next question is two-pronged. Is there any long-term effects from this, or when you slice this, you generally see this as a treatment for the issue? And two, what is the I guess 3, what is the prognosis, and how does that look for a filly like her that has stake races coming up in the near future? What's the downtime? What do you generally do?
Good question. So procedure, we'll actually do it standing. We'll put a speculum in the horse's mouth with sedation to get access in the back of their throat, and we'll use that hook to slice the membrane. As long as everything goes smoothly, like any operation procedure, downtime is pretty short. We have horses jogging back the next day. Oh, wow. We'll keep them on, a little throat flush or something, just keep a lot of the irritation, inflammation down. But typically, we can have a horse racing within a week to 2 weeks, just depending how it goes and how that horse is responding.
Now, like many procedures, I know that I keep saying the olden days. Back when I was working for other trainers, I had seen entrapments, and it almost seemed like back then they had to go to the university.
Right.
It was a real procedure. It was long and drawn out, and how'd the operation go? Now it's trimmed down to, hey, we block the horse throat, we do it right there in the barn.
Yeah. So there's a lot of procedures that we're able to do here in the barn, in the stalls, that before would have to be in a referral center or a university. Some places will use a laser to cut that membrane. That's a place you might go at a university or referral center. Here we're able to.
We just go with a rusty hook here.
Yeah, just a rusty hook, give them a good tetanus shot, we're good to go.
That's good. So that's important. I know from time to time we like to update our clients. We don't always do. I know, obviously, we talked about before with you with another veterinarian OCDs and how we handle those and that is a very fluid situation. I know
Absolutely.
In-house we don't generally do exactly what everybody else does. Yeah. But when it comes to this, I'm always intrigued when it comes to the airway, especially with horses. You have to learn all the time, and I really didn't know that it was the membrane. I thought it was the palate.
Right.
So when it comes to this entrapment, I found it so odd that I could see it as the trainer and the driver with Luck of the Dragon, but there was no indication with Sweet on Pete, and we want to fix them both for the very same reason.
Correct. I said, a horse like Sweet on Pete, unbelievable training-wise. But when we get to the big stakes, if she's going to go there,
so this is a precautionary thing.
Correct. Yeah.
So anyway, that is Dr. Latessa. He's our veterinarian here in Ohio. His clinic performed the entrapment procedure on Luck of the Dragon. They're about to do Sweet on Pete here in a little while. She'll be ready. We have a number of clients saying, when's she ready, when's she ready? I wanted to make sure you understood what was taking place. The filly is ready to go. I trained her in 2-4 the day in question. I trained her in 2-4 last half in a minute. 5 days easy jogging, I presume.
Correct.
And then she can start back rocking.
Correct.
So end of next week, she'll be ready to go a fast mile or into race whenever the...
Yep.
Do you know when the Buckeye is by chance?
Ooh, somewhere between the 10th
Most
and
veterinarians
12th.
know because it's the 10th or 12th. That's right. So big training trip next week, and then she'll hopefully get at least another hard training trip leading into the, do we go to the Sire Stake, do we go to the Buckeye? That'll be up to Sweet on Pete, but thankfully the veterinarian caught that entrapment when he did, because the time frame is good for us. So that is a little education for you today on entrapments. I didn't know, you didn't know, now we both do. Thank you very much, Dr.
You're
Latessa.
welcome.
Take care.
Bye.